Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 5. So in Module 5, we're in the middle module of the argument proposal essay. So you're going to be using that same topic that you chose for your essay, and you're going to be working with sources in this particular module. In the next module is where you'll actually draft and finish and submit the argument proposal essay. So we've got 3 modules that we're working on this essay. So if you remember, your argument proposal needs to be an argument where you are coming up with the solution to the problem and you are arguing for implementing that solution. So your argument does need to be, although it can be something personal, so something related to something in your life, it has to be something that you can support with sources as well. So for example, you might, if you're a high school student, you might be at a high school that has a cell phone policy that you disagree with. So that's something that's personal, so you have some personal experience with it, but you also want to do some research to see, what are some of the effects of cell phones on students. Sometimes you can look at the effects of cell phones in the classroom, that kind of thing, or like other places where they've come up with a good solution for a cell phone problem and how can you implement that. So I've got some things for you in the module. The essay itself, the assignment, again, just as a reminder as to what we're working on, and then I have some resources for you. You did a pre-writing journal in the previous module, and so you just kind of came up with an outline there, but I also have some PowerPoint stuff for you. This is just how to construct an argument proposal. This is something I use in my on-site classes, so sometimes I'll drop a PowerPoint in or a video or something that I use in my on-site classes, so you can see that. And then I do have an example outline for you. So it won't let me open that. I'll fix that so you can download that file. An example outline so you can kind of see what it looks like in a video. So there's lots of stuff that you can do to help you out. Lots of resources. There's some good examples in the chapter as well. So this is an example. So then what you're going to do is you're going to start finding sources. So once you have your topic set, you kind of know where you're going with your argument. You want to find some sources about your topic. Now, these don't necessarily need to be sources that you are absolutely going to use in your essay, so don't feel like you are forced to use them, but these should just be about your topic. So right now we're just kind of in the exploratory stage of sources. So you're going to find 3 sources and you're going to post them on this discussion board. The purpose of this discussion board is to see what positions are out there. So again, we're exploring argument just like we did for that first essay, looking at argument technique. We're kind of doing something similar here, and that is we're just breaking down the author's position. In this case, we're looking specifically at elements of argument related to the claim. So the author's position, some main ideas, their use of evidence, anything like that is fine. And then an explanation of your views on the website, overall impression, whether you agree or disagree, what are the strengths and weaknesses of it, that kind of thing. So you're providing that link, and then some important points for the website, and then kind of your overall impression. So it's going to be, a good sized thread for each one. That might take you a little while to complete the initial 3 posts. Once you're done with that, then you're going to look at 2 of your classmates' posts, and you want to either look at like additional points that they didn't see in the initial article or in their initial point about the article, or some counter arguments. And the counter arguments are a way to start to see how we can look at differing viewpoints, because one of the hardest parts about creating an argument is often coming up with what does the other side see. So in particular, if you are if you feel very strongly about a topic or affects you personally, then it can be hard to see why someone might not agree with that. And so that's part of this discussion board, is to kind of see those opposing viewpoints. So you want to make sure that you are getting all the posts done for this one. So 3 original posts and then 2 response posts. So once you have that done, actually you can do this in any order, but they're I think the discussion board is just a little bit easier because it allows you to sit down and analyze your sources. So then the second assignment you're going to do, you can use the same sources. I've got the MLA readings in here again. You did take a documentation quiz up here, so these are the same readings as up here, but you want to kind of look over it again, and then you're going to complete this documentation assignment. So the assignment asks you to find 5 sources about your argument essay topic. 3 of them you just found for the discussion board, so you only need to find 2 more. Again, these don't necessarily need to be sources that you are absolutely going to use on your essay, but they should all be kind of related, because this is the, again, exploratory stage. We're just trying to find information, what's out there. For each source, you're going to do the works cited entry, and then you're going to use a sentence from the source and either quote it or paraphrase it. So you have that choice. So you'll have the citation, and then you'll have a quote or a paraphrase for each source. And so you need to at least have 2 quotes and 2 paraphrases so that I can see that you know how to do both. And then I have an example here. This sample documentation shows you kind of what I'm looking for. So I just did 2 sources here, but you would have 5 listed. And then you could do this either, have the source and then the sentence right underneath it, or you can list all the sources and then all the sentences. It doesn't matter. So I just show you an example of, so if I have this source here, then when I go to write the sentence, I know that I need to use the first part of the works cited entry in my sentence. If I'm going to use a quotation, I'm going to do that according to phrase. If I'm going to do a paraphrase where I just write it in my own words, then I can just add that at the end. So this was what it looks like if you don't have an author. Then I'm going to put whatever words come first on the works cited entry. That's what I'm going to put right here in my parentheses. So you can see when we try to isolate and break down these specific skills, I think for the most part, it's a little bit more clear for students who are having trouble with the citation. So if you write out your works cited entries first, then kind of go down and see, okay, what did I write first for each one? That's what's going to show up in your sentence. It's either going to be according to, if with a quote, or it's going to be the one at the end, is in-text citation with a paraphrase. And so once we break that down like that, most of the time students, it starts to click in their brains how to do this type of stuff in their essay. So you're just going to be doing that. If it helps, what I would do is, particularly for the quotations that I choose, would be ones that I think might help in my essay. So I've already got practice with that. And then if I do them wrong, when I go and grade this assignment, then you'll know that those sentences will need to change if you put them in your essay. The last thing in this module is just an information page on drafting the argument proposal essay. As soon as you finish the discussion board and the MLA assignment, go ahead and start working on your essay. Start drafting, get a good draft going, because in the next unit, you're actually going to be finishing and submitting that essay. So you want to be prepared for that. But these are just some things to remember as you're drafting your essay, some things that students forget. So that should help you out a little bit. If you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.